Yeah. Big baby JTV. Like, comment, sub, man. We start off this video by saying rest in peace to Tyre Nichols. All right. I didn't watch the video. And as black folks, if you're a black person, I highly recommend you don't watch these videos. Why? Because there's a purpose to it. There's a purpose for why publications like CNN literally kept updates as to when the video was going to drop of a black man getting killed. There's a reason they're comparing this to Rodney King. There's a reason that George Floyd and his murder was put on TV and replayed millions and billions of times. And there's a statue, there's multiple statues of George Floyd rather than Malcolm X. There's a reason that's put there. You know what I mean? And without getting too deep into it, I'm just going to let you know that it's there to anger you. As black people, it's there to trigger you. It's there to put money into corporate media. It's there for you to vote for certain political parties. It's there for you to donate to fraud organizations. It's there to corrupt you. Now, let me start off by saying this. Rest in peace again to Tyre Nichols, man. He didn't deserve that. And when you look at, my channel, why did I even really start my channel? I started my channel to not only make money, but because I wanted to make money. Come on now. But I also wanted to empower people with my opinions, my thoughts, and not always go and do what the mainstream media does, right? And not promote their agenda, but give opinions and give, black empowerment out there. You know what I mean? And uplift black people, okay? I'm a borderline black supremacist. I'm just going to keep it real, bro. I'm just going to keep it real. I personally don't believe in white supremacy. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I do believe that there's people in power. Majority of them are whites. That's a fact. But they could be Asian. They could be Jewish. It could be man or woman. It doesn't matter. There's people in power that want to keep power. Right now, if you want to call those people within a powerful system part of a white supremacist system, you could say that, right? But if you look at this case, the Tyre Nichols case, the people who were in power, who had power, were black men. Now, these 5 black men that murdered Tyre Nichols, were they racist? No. Were they part of a system of white supremacy? You could argue that. But one thing we can not argue about is that they had the power in this situation. The power to hold back, resist, or the power to stop each other from killing this man. Now, police brutality, police violence, that's not new, especially in Memphis. Martin Luther King got killed in Memphis. Funny enough. Actually, not even funny. Tragically enough, right? There's a ton of populations, right, inner city populations that have corrupt and terrible policing. Let's start off with that. I just want to say this, man, people don't understand how bad it's gotten, especially after the pandemic. In the black community, in the hoods, in environments where it's low income, in the projects, in the hood, okay? I'm going to tell y'all this, man. Last year in Philadelphia, there was almost 400 murders. That's high record numbers of murders in Philadelphia. Philadelphia has a large black population, and most of those murders were obviously and sadly in high black populations, right? So this story of black men killing black men, okay, black men brutalizing other black men, it's not new, right? And then when you add on to that, black men in power who feel entitled to do what they want, to have that shield of being a police, right? They are even more empowered. So when Tyre Nichols got killed, these 5 officers, I'm glad that they got fired right away. I'm glad that they got charged with murder right away. Now, of course, them being black, they're going to be treated more harshly than other white police officers who've essentially done the same. Now, I'm happy within the George Floyd situation, there was able to be a situation where the person who killed him was held accountable and it went to trial, and he's in jail. So that starts a precedent. So police are going to be more careful before they murder people, right? Now, from what I heard about the video, Tyre Nichols was not necessarily complying with the police. He was resisting arrest. And because of this, you have a situation where a person like Jason Whitlock, who I don't always disagree with, sometimes he does say some crazy out-of-pocket-ish. He said that his take was that because the leader of that police department was a black woman, and because black men are typically born and raised, well, mostly raised by black women, there's a certain level of disrespect towards masculinity, and there's a feminine nature towards feminine and over emotional energy that black men give towards each other. Now, let's just look at it as face value. If you look at the United States, and if you look at a lot of black immigrant households, there is a huge emphasis on family. Huge emphasis on family, right? There is a huge emphasis on a traditional, conservative, Christian type of atmosphere. Let's keep it real, man. Look at most immigrant countries. They usually have immigrant populations. They usually have a patriarchy, right? Meaning there is a man in the house who usually leads the house. It's usually a nuclear family, right? But then you look sadly at what's happened to the American household, black American household. I'm not American myself. I'm Canadian. You see that, Jason Whitlock has a valid point that the black household, unfortunately, is usually run by a single mother, right? And sadly, if you look at the statistics of people in jail, 90, some crazy stat, 90-something% of men in jail are usually come from a single mother household. Now, keep in mind, if you meet dudes who are in the streets, dudes who are been in jail, have done multiple bids, these dudes are not the most emotionally stable people. Let's start off with that. Quick to anger, right? Usually had bad supervision. Actually, a huge percentage of them have even been abused as kids. Let's just keep it real. You know what I'm saying? Abused either physically or even sexually. It's just a fact. You know what I mean? And that, when you grow up in a household that's not only poor, but doesn't have a male role model, right? You usually grow up in dysfunction and chaos, and that makes you, as you grow up to be an adult, a dysfunctional and chaotic person. So this Tyre Nichols situation, I believe that it's deeper than they're saying. I want to see what happens in trial. I want to see these 5 black men literally rot in jail for killing this other black male. But sadly, and unfortunately, you know what I mean, because they are police officers, they might float away and get away with this, right? I think that this was personal. I think them killing this black man was personal. I think there's something deeper to this. I think that, and I hope the investigators get down to the bottom of this. But when I say to you that in Philadelphia, a mostly black population, similar to Memphis, had almost 400 murders, if not more than that, last year, mostly in black populations. What does that tell you about our community, man? Yes, Jason Whitlock be saying some dumb ish, but sometimes he says some real ish. How often have you seen this happen, bro? Police departments in those communities don't care, or they're not funded enough, right? And the people within them communities, they see no other way other than to settle beefs with death and shoot them. And the culture, right? Of course, I love black American culture. Of course, I love our people, but we have to re-examine our culture. You see how many rappers have been killed in the past few years? It's not because we are readily available to know about it, right? It's not just that. It's just that the culture has shifted dramatically within the last even 10 years, right? Remember when Chief Keef came out in Chicago? Of course, Chicago always had violence, always had gangbanging, but the GDs and BDs were not at war with each other as much until rappers started talking about, smoking on ops, putting Tuka in a blunt. You know what I mean? The disrespect has gotten to a crazy level, right? And then you see situations like FBG Duck's mother, who has an OnlyFans, and FBG Duck's mother, keep in mind, she's had 9 kids and 5 of them have died. 3 from gun violence. Like what? Dysfunction to the highest order, right? Now, I'm not saying that if the black community all had mother and dad and a perfect nuclear family that we still wouldn't have dysfunction and issues. I think the issues would be less. And how does this relate to Tyre Nichols? I'm telling you, it relates because it starts with respecting ourselves and building our communities, man. We're not going to be able to change the police culture and the police brutality abuse. Unfortunately, that's not going to change. But guess what's not going to change it either? Nothing. Us spending money on fraud organizations like BLM who literally want to destroy the family structure and look for issues within our communities, man. I'm telling y'all right now, Jason Whitlock was not wrong. Did he say it in a wrong way or maybe not communicate it effectively? Yes. Is it because of his history that people didn't take it as he intended for him to take it? Yes. Let me tell you something. If Van Jones had said this, a lot of people would be okay with it. They'd actually think he was revolutionary for it. But because politicians and corporations make money off black dysfunction, there is no push towards black unity, towards black love, towards black families, towards building stronger communities. There is money in dysfunction. There's money in Tuka getting rolled up in a blunt. There's money in that. Ask Chicago. There's money in that. There's money in people protesting. There's money in division, right? So I'm going to finish off this long-ass video same way I started it. Rest in peace to Tyre Nichols. But overall, we have to re-examine who we mad at, the messenger or the message? Because the message is not wrong. I actually like that message, right? The only thing we can fix is ourselves. And we got to start with ourselves before we fix an entire corrupt system of policing, man. You know, before we fix politicians, before we fix the laws, let's start fixing ourselves, man. You know what I mean? Because that's the best person we can fix. And I will hope that whatever comes out of this Tyre Nichols thing, they figure out, you know, what it was. And rest in peace to that man. He didn't deserve to get killed. And I hope them 5 officers get the full force of the law on him. And I'm out, bro.